he was like the whole package in so many ways, but from an outside looking in standpoint, right? Like, yeah, he was a great guy. And like, I had done the program life, like got married at 27, had my first son at 29. And I was a stay-at-home mom with the two kids, picking up the dry cleaning, picking up the clothes from the floor. And like, I had just hit the wall at one point, and I'm like, I won't pick up the dry cleaning anymore. Took my ring off, and I was like, I want to be called by my maiden name. This is not the life that is right for me anymore. And I kind of just blew it up.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards, the podcast dedicated to helping high performers unlock their true potential and cultivate a powerful mindset for success. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, a mindset coach and advocate for healthy high performance. Join me on this transformative journey as we delve into strategies, insights, and inspiring conversations with experts and thriving high performers. Get ready to master your mindset, elevate your performance, and create a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's dive in. We are back with another episode. We have a beautiful guest today, Sarah Knapik. Sarah works with women who are ready to make a big shift from struggling to taking their power back so they can create a life they love. She is an embodied non-duality teacher who connects women back to their intuition and to God. Guys, when I tell you that this is wow, what a powerful, if you are not ready to be activated, if you are not ready to go at a cadence that is fast, we talk about so much in this episode of choosing yourself time and time again, messages from God, higher power, source, and what that, how listening to those nudges and really big awakenings for Sarah has been so life-changing for her, and it can be mirrored as to what maybe that would be for you in your life. This is most definitely an episode to listen to when you have the space to take in all of the gems that are being dropped in this episode. So without further ado, take a listen, be transformed, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about it. I'm so excited. We have our beautiful guest Sarah with us here today. She is a woman of so much wisdom. She has transformed her life completely, and we're going to be talking deeply about that today. Sarah, what can you share with us how your energy is at this time and how you're hoping to maybe connect with our audience, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Julissa. My energy today feels excited, really happy to be here and share my message in hopes of inspiring other women to make the changes they want to make to change their life. And it's the day after the solstice, my birthday's coming, and the holidays are here. Yeah, and I feel like I'm alchemizing a lot of things and feeling a little bit inward, and also really kind of up against some of my deeper patterns right now that I'm working with. So I'm excited to share about that today.
Yeah. So, Sarah, your story is beautiful, and I most definitely want you to share it with us here today. From the outside looking in, I know that you're a mama, right? You have two little boys, right?
Yes, they're 8 and 11.
8 and 11. Such a fun age. You're a mama of two boys. Your business, well, your life has changed drastically, which you can tell us about, but also your business has also transformed massively. That's actually why I was called to interview you at this time, because it's such a powerful story. So can you tell us more about, I feel like your life is just a lot of transformations, which can be a lot for some people. So how has that been for you?
Yeah, I think it has been a lot. And this holiday season, I think that is why I'm kind of going inward and feeling tender. It's like it's marking the 6 year anniversary of my divorce. And, my kids are not going to be with me Christmas morning. So I'm really feeling into that. It's just going to be me and my dog this holiday. And yesterday on the solstice, I went really deep inside to see all the decisions that I've made to get me to where I am, including that big first leap of faith that I took to leave my marriage 6 years ago and embark on this huge healing journey that I didn't know was coming, and learn how to really feel strong and confident as a single mom, and how all of the healing that I've done has led me into the business that I'm now running.
Yeah. I mean, my heart goes out to you, girly. I don't know. How are you feeling about not being with your boys for Christmas?
It's a little tender this year. I'm really feeling like I know we're never alone, but that I am supposed to be alone, that there's like little gems that are alchemizing during this time for me that feel really important. Astrologically, I'm
Mm,
like closing this 6 month loop that started over the summer when I had a big life change right before my new business was born. And it feels like
okay.
I'm cleaning up like these last cobwebs in the corner right now. So it feels that I'm meant to spend this holiday on my own, which, yeah, it's a little tender. And last night we were at my kid's Christmas performance, and, their dad was there with his wife and their baby who just turned one, and his parents were there, and they were all having all
Oh,
these holiday
wow.
things. And I was just on my own. And when I left, I just cried my eyes out in the car last night. And I'm like,
Mm,
okay, here are more layers um, from, yeah, that huge life shift that I made. Even though I'm happier, I know it was meant to be. They're happier too, but still, the heart can be tender around that kind of stuff.
that's really hard. Wow. It seems like, I'm just getting to know you, right? So we're mastermind sisters. We have the same business coach, and this is our first time meeting each other and getting to know each other deeply. And just from what I've been gathering thus far, the transformations that you have let me in on that you're going to talk more about here today. It's happening very quickly, but not just for you, for everybody else too. Like what I just heard was that like your ex is now also with a wife and a baby, and that just kind of happened overnight, it sounds like. So for your boys too, just like a lot of changes and acceptance, surrendering, like all that must come with it too, and hardships and tears and grief. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there is. And I think that, like, for me, it's like we can hold both sides, right? We can hold that things are going really well, and look how good I'm doing, and look at the beautiful, amazing
Because
things that
you
are happening.
are.
Yeah, and look
Yeah.
how great of a mom I am now, and like my
Yeah.
business is doing amazing, and look at these huge leaps I've taken. And also,
Yeah.
this can still be tender sometimes, and I can grieve, and I'm still working through my stuff. And like, even though we're always healing, there's never a state of perfection. And I think that's a big part of my path that I'm in right now, is just like showing up exactly where I'm at, and that I can still lead my clients and inspire and teach. And also, I'm still doing my work as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I am very much also in the season of duality, which is what I'm hearing from you too. It's like all of this is happening while this is also happening. And yeah, the other side of it is that you're killing it. Like you burned down a business into a more aligned version of you and version of your business, and you're freaking killing it. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Like you've said earlier, my life has changed so fast in these last 6 years since I did decide to leave my marriage. And that was really the beginning of my spiritual journey, even though I didn't know that that was going to happen. It like really was on the verge of a mental breakdown at the end of my journey, after not tapering off of Zoloft, but literally just getting off of Zoloft when my oldest son was going to go into kindergarten. And it led me to like literally thinking I needed to go to the psych ward at one point. And my husband had come in at that time. I'd locked my kids out of the house, and I was like,
Oh wow.
I've literally gone crazy. I think you need to take me to a psych ward, because I didn't
Mhm.
realize, like, even on the smallest dose of an antidepressant, what that was doing to my brain. And I literally just like cut the pill in half for 1 week and stopped. But I lost my mind, but I was really finding myself in the process. And that specific moment when my husband came home and I locked my two and 5 year old out of the house, I ended up in the bath. And in that bath, I had a rebirth and felt myself for the first time. And that was like the first. I couldn't lie to myself any longer. It was like I want a divorce. Um, that was September 6 years ago. So it took me 4 months to really like, talk my husband into that it was the right thing. And then when I left that
Wow.
marriage, Yeah, it was a lot. And that was my first big leap of faith of leaving the stability, all of the money, all of the support of both sides of our family. Like he was like the whole package in so many ways, but from an outside looking in standpoint, right? Like, yeah, he was a great guy. And like I had done the program like got married at 27, had my first son at 29. And I was a stay-at-home mom with the two kids, picking up the dry cleaning, picking up the clothes from the floor. And like I had just hit the wall at one point, and I'm like, I won't pick up the dry cleaning anymore. Took my ring off, and I was like, I want to be called by my maiden name. This is not the life that is right for me anymore. And I kind of just blew it up. And there was a piece of healing last night actually for me with that, where I just really went in and I was like, I forgive you. Like, you did the best you could at that moment to myself. Like, I forgive you for the way that you blew up the end of your marriage. Like, I didn't know how
Mm.
to get out, and it was a little bit messy, but I did get myself out. I listened to my intuition. I couldn't lie anymore. And that was the first time I heard, like, from God, your work in this world is going to be to teach women how to trust themselves. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then I got taken on a 6-year super deep healing journey to find out what that meant. And in that journey, go ahead.
I was gonna, so I was gonna say, and at that time, so when you broke up with or divorced your ex husband, that was the spark of your old business, or were you already doing that?
That was the spark of my old business. Yeah, I went
Okay.
on a self-love healing retreat for like a week to this beautiful place on the coast of Big Sur. And I had never been so present and dropped in before. And there was an art barn there. And I went into the art barn thinking I would paint or something, not really ever feeling like I was a creative person. And I ended up making this gorgeous wreath. And it was so pretty that everybody asked me if I was there to teach a class. Like, the center salon asked to hold it for photographs. And for me, that wreath was so symbolic because I'm like, I'm going to move out when I come home. And I did. I came home and like God rearranged things. The money showed up. I got a new place and I put that wreath on the front door. And
Wow.
everything died on the wreath but the succulents. And then that was the birth of my new business, which was Wild Goddess Designs. And I made like insanely beautiful succulent wreaths and arrangements that I shipped all around the US.
So pretty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just for clarity, so when you had this big awakening in the bathtub that like I can't do this anymore, it
Mhm.
sounds like your ex-husband had no idea that that was going to happen. So for him, it was also kind of out of left field that like this was ending.
Yes, he did not want it to end. We had many talks that it wasn't good for the kids, and remember a very specific conversation. And this can show you really where I was at the time for outsourcing everything. And I was like, this marriage is not making me happy. And I remember him saying, like, it is not supposed to make you happy. You are supposed to make yourself happy. And
Yeah.
so I did. I left and figured out, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, to then all this beautiful like circular moment of, then coming home and things just kind of being not set up for you, but in a way where it was like, okay, I can choose myself and I am going to move out. And then comes that was your first business of the succulent wreaths, correct?
Yeah,
Which
that was
sound
my first
beautiful,
business.
by the way.
It was so pretty. I worked with a lot of local real estate agents. I had beautiful contracts. They were like called abundance and gratitude and inspiration. And they
I
were
love
like $375, $295. Like, they were not cheap. Um, but because they were handcrafted, and I
that.
got the
Hmm.
business to 6 figures. And, and then I really was so deep in my plant medicine journey, and things had started to shift at that time in my own healing and starting to hold space. And I was co-creating a church with a teacher at the time. And my journey just started to go another way, where I went on my own journey to learn how to serve plant medicines. And the first time I came home from that initiation, it was the next like super clear intuition hit was like, you need to close your business. And like nothing had been created yet with my the way things were going to go, but I said, okay. And it took me about 6 months to finish up all my contracts and close that business down. And that
Hmm.
finally ended last holiday.
The succulent one or this?
Yeah. I finished my last orders last Christmas. Yeah. I
Holy
closed it down like in
crap.
late September and I still had to honor like certain holiday commitments that I had. So,
Oh wow. So you were very much still doing that just recently. They sound
yeah.
beautiful. Please let me see pictures, even though it's not what you do anymore, but it's still an extension of you.
Yeah.
So what I'm also realizing too, and our audience will hear as you tell us more, but it's I'm recognizing that abundance always follows you. Like even
Mm.
I don't know, it sounds like your husband was a good provider financially, your ex-husband, my apologies. And so even though we weren't happy and that wasn't our calling, our true calling at that time, you were still kind of protected financially. And then, boom, we finished that. You listen to your heart and you listen to God's calling. And then this new business, which we also ended up, burning to the ground too, but it was also very profitable for you. So
It it was and it wasn't. It cost so much to run. So like yes, it was running at six figures, but it cost so much to run that I wasn't personally making six figures.
Okay, 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 understood. Which is that's business too. We have expenses, and I guess I'm just good at like finding similarities. But that was with your ex husband too, right? Like on paper it was really good, but behind the scenes not so much.
Totally. Oh, you're so good. Yeah. Well, you're hitting the nail on the hammer. I This was actually I think my life's healing was I was in that marriage and had all the stability, all the money. Nothing would ever run out, be wrong. Like family was always helping. He came in from a really wealthy family. And I left literally teaching yoga part time with no work and no money anywhere. And then I embarked on this path of learning how to figure out I was abundant inside. And it's been this long journey. And that's feeling what's really at its like point right now of the healing is just like it's the abundance is not outside of me. I've been alchemizing huge lack and scarcity mindset that I have had for my whole life. And like this journey of stepping on my own has had me to just like really face my fears because I live in the Bay Area. I'm supporting two children. Like you need a lot of money here to do this. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, how has it been working? It has. And that's where God is amazing. And also like there's so much more potential. So I'm in this healing now of just like I would break up with somebody that wasn't working out for me. I left the marriage that wasn't working. I burned the business that doesn't working. Now it's like I'm leaving the part of me that still thinks there's lack. I'm breaking up with her. Like with that part of my ego that is holding me back from this next like expansion of my life that I feel like it is right here, right now.
I feel it too for you, girly. Like literally my what I saw was like a beautiful beam of yellow light because what I'm seeing is
Mm,
even when you were in lack and in scarcity, you were still abundant. It wasn't a
I know.
line. It wasn't a
Yeah.
line, but you were still so it's like, yeah, like this for me, for you very much feels like a like it's about to just like really go off and it's already been going off for you.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for you.
Thank
I hope
you.
everyone that's listening can just like tap into this. Like I just like yellow beaming energy
I have to
of
show you. My
beautiful.
friend gave me this yellow. I don't know if you can see right now. This is yellow candle that says "You are abundant." So I'm just putting it on the
Okay.
screen right now. And that you're saying that there's this yellow light. She just gave me that as a birthday gift this week.
Look at that. So for those that don't know, we're recording on Riverside platform, but I can't see her right now. But like yes, so that is super aligning that yeah, that you had that candle right there. Yeah. Okay, so tell us more about it's also 111. This is so I love conversations like this. So, okay, so tell us more. It sounds like your medicine for other women and helping them in their path is choosing themselves, and that probably comes with a lot of bravery and discomfort and awakening of like, what does that actually mean? So tell us
Yeah.
more about how you help women do that.
Yeah, I want to share like the transition into opening up my current business, which what like all of the healing work I did was really leading up to this, and how my work with plant medicines actually led me to God and realizing that God was inside of me. I was an expression of God. We're all under this one energy of God, each of us expressing as ourselves. And what's keeping us separate from that is our ego. And the ego is the fear, the doubt, not feeling worthy, not feeling confident, believing in lack, believing in scarcity, and that the work is to alchemize all of those thoughts so that we can actually really embody who we are, which is God expressing as Jalissa, expressing as Sarah. Um, so I ended up another crazy moment. My life, my house had covered in mold for the second time back
Oh my
in like what
goodness.
was that? Like early March, April. I just got home from Mexico. Yeah, April, May. And I didn't know where I was going to live. And I'm like, I'm going to clean out my whole house. Like, I'm in faith that I'm going to find another house. But, like, on paper, I'd been serving plant medicines and I didn't have like actual pay stubs to show a landlord. And I was like, I'm going to need a miracle here. I don't know how this is going to work. So I'm going to just show my faith by packing my stuff up and knowing something's coming. And I started packing up my house, and I decided at one point to give all my stuff away because everything had the mold toxins on it. It's the second time my house had been covered in mold. And I'm like, none of this can come with me. So I literally purged everything, explained to
Insane.
my kids what was going on. I said, we just have to trust God. Something's going to come. This is the path. And that path ended up
Mm.
leading me to Peru on a 2-week dieta where everything just lined up for. And it was there. I just worked with some Amazonian plants, non psychedelic, and tobacco medicine. And it was there. It showed me that my work with plant medicine was done and that it was time for me to step into my coaching business. And that had been like a prayer in my heart for so, so long. And it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done, being in isolation for 2 weeks alone with my mind. So I really got to see my patterns and just really be with myself. And it just started dropping in like, you're a mindset coach. This is what you write. This is this. This is this. I wrote out my whole website there. It showed me exactly how to set up my life when I got home. And I did. I found a home. The address is 3311 on the house. I shared with him I was starting this new business and here's what I was doing, and I don't have pay stubs. And he was like, he didn't even have me do an application. It was like a miracle. Got into this beautiful house with my kids having an extra bedroom, extra bathroom, more sunshine, a bigger yard. And so by like July, I started setting up my website. I think in August, I had found Melissa because I'm like, something's missing. I need some help here. And
Mhm.
we dove into my mindset and my fears about money and scarcity. And then by like September, I started getting my first clients. So I just wanted to like give that whole background because that was one of the most transformative times of my life. And it does feel like I've been like in all of the contractions and so many deaths and rebirths. And like now I'm just like right at the portal, getting pushed right through, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Hold up. I love
So
all these motherhood analogies. Yes, you have been going through contractions.
yeah.
And yeah, you are like you're crowning.
Yes, that's what I'm crowning. And we were in Tulum, which we missed you. And I'm like, I'm crowning. Like, but it's easeful. It doesn't have to be super hard this time. It's easeful. I'm right there. I'm being pushed through. Like all that hard work I've done, all those deaths, all those challenges, all the blow ups, like all of it has led me to this moment.
Wow, I just had a beautiful realization too. But technically, yeah, it is easeful for you. Even though birthing can be traumatic for the baby, they're not pushing, mama's pushing, right? And
Mm.
so, yeah, you are being easily carried through because Creator, God, Source, like, He's the one pushing you out and pushing you through, which is really beautiful.
Yeah. It is. And it's like, of course, I had to go through all these initiations so that I can teach what it means to have faith and like be faced with your fears and still make another decision. And like by
Wow.
the time I got my business up and going, like I had run out of money. Like when I hired Melissa, like I barely had money for my rent and to pay her, and I still chose to go with the coaching. Like, and that's what I try to teach my clients. Like, there's the door, there's fear, and there's faith. And if you make the decision off of fear, you are in your pattern and you will recreate another scenario that will keep you in fear. And if you make a decision off of faith, and that's following your heart, that is following your intuition. And yes, it feels scary. And also, the blessing on the other side is so big. And that blessing will be the next leap of faith. So you will continuously face the next fear as you walk each step. But that path ends up being like your life's path. And that's how you get on it.
Let's pause right there for a second because that is something that I think my audience will really benefit from. So, the, that is such a tricky thing to try to explain to people, depending on where they're at in their lives and what kind of risks or how faithful they are. Entrepreneurship can be very, it's ballsy. You're taking a lot of ballsy action, and it's not just monetarily, but that is one of them. That is a big one. And so even myself, I come from a very like clinical, rigid background. So, when I was like 8 years old, like I would literally, I can remember in my shower, taking a shower, letting the hot steam, steam up I had glass like walls in my shower, like the bathtub,
Yeah.
and I would be number crunching till that day. If I had like I used to help my dad with this business. Like if I had like a $3 allowance, I would know how much money I had and I would count it up and I would say like, oh, I want to buy this or do this. And like, I would always be such a number crunching person. And that part of me still very much lives with inside of me today. She's been healed in many ways, but it's a part of me that I have to overcome when I make big leaps of faith in my business. So this is a hard conversation for sometimes individuals to have, because people that are more rigid, like my past self, and they're so used to doing the one, two, threes. And if it doesn't make logical sense, they're not going to do it. Like they lack faith, right?
Yeah.
But I can also, like, there's two sides, right? Because it's like, well, they could argue that the other side is like, okay, so you're all faith driven, then what happens when you fall on your ass? So it's like, how do we talk to people about, I can honor the fear and I can honor the also logistical side of things of like, yeah, like that is a very scary thing to do. And honestly, it's the reason why sometimes I really feel like entrepreneurship really isn't for everybody. And it doesn't mean that like you have to be crazy in your finances to do it, but there needs to be a massive amount of faith behind what you're doing that will result in ballsy action via your finances, via your identity, via your how you present yourself in all those ways. But finances can and is a lot of times one of them. So does that resonate, and can you speak more into that?
Yeah. I think that it comes to this place inside, which is like, what is going to bring you more joy in the end? Because if you don't take the leap of faith and you stay where you're at in your fear, but you're deeply unhappy and discontent with life and like yearning for more, then that to me feels like failure, uncomfortable, a place I don't want to be. However, if you look at the leap of faith and you're so scared, and yes, I know the number crunching, like that's the logical mind. Like we actually live in a world where there doesn't need to be number crunching, where there is abundance flowing freely, where everything is provided for us. And that's the mindset we're trying to embody all the time. So the leap of faith comes with saying, I'm going to take it, and what I like having faith that even if it doesn't turn out exactly as we plan, God is still supporting us in the highest path forward when we take that leap of faith. So yes, let's say I take the leap of faith and I'm expecting $50,000 to be there, for example. and I get there and there isn't $50,000, but there's another scenario that helps me learn something about myself. So the next leap of faith I take, now there's $200,000. So
Mm.
whatever is going to be there is of our highest good. So that's actually the path of faith. It's letting go of what we think is going to be there to allow God to place what's supposed to be there, knowing it is for our highest growth, our highest good. And as an entrepreneur, walking this spiritual path of faith and really coming into our heart and what is our role here on earth during this time, like I want to go that path of faith, even though I don't know what's there, but that's actually where the healing is. We don't want to know what's there. We're trying to let go. There's nothing to control. Like when we allow ourselves to be inspired in the moment and let the unknown direct us without having to know what's there, we're embodied.
Wow, what's coming through for me a lot when you were talking, first and foremost, you speak so well. You're so vocal. Like it's really benefiting that I can't see you right now. Like you have a voice for a radio, a podcast, like you are clear and it's powerful. And I
Thank you.
know that our listeners are feeling that too. When you were speaking, what was coming through for me was anxiety. It's like this
Mhm.
to have to have faith, to be fully in faith means there's no anxiety, which would be a cure for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like the anxiety is what makes us double think and number crunch and do all the thinking and the rehearsing and the I don't know and the back and forth, like like to be fully in faith. And listen, I can already hear the other side of people being like, that's crazy, like you have to fall back on something of logistic. And it's like, depending on what day you catch me, I can understand that side too, but there is this other magical side of just pure belief. And while it's not logical, like we just have to say it's not
Mhm.
logical,
At all.
but at all. And I like to talk about, mention the fact that we're both mothers. A lot of people try
Yeah.
to take ballsy action before they become parents, and like I did it before, and I literally. I never thought I'd be taking this type of ballsy action as a mother because I have two little ones and all the things. And it's like, no, like I think for me personally, my nervous system, I've done it so many times now that I am used to it. There is a level of fear, of course, but I have so much trust that things will work out, that things usually end up working out for me because, hello, that's also manifestation and energy. And so it's like, yeah, this other side of the world or of a way of thinking, it is real. It's crazy in the most mystical, magical way, but it most definitely, you can't see it. And that's what faith is, right? Like you can't see it, but it's an energy and a vibration that is very, very real.
Yeah. And it's like we can't see the internet. Like we can't see the lines that are connecting the internet. Everybody believes in the internet. Like why is why is God so hard to believe in? And I think that there's programming just around that word, God source universe. People can plug in what feels right for them, spirit. But like at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we're here to come back to that. And that road is via faith. And yeah, it is not for the faint of heart. It is extremely hard. And one lifetime or another, every person's going to end up on it. It just depends when that is. And I'm an old soul. I've been here so many times, and this was the time for me. And I remember early on in starting my business, and I'm like, well, I know it's still early, but those first couple months, I'm like, this is just not for the faint of heart. This is the biggest initiation I've ever had. This is the hardest thing. And my kids watched every second. Did you get a new client? Asking me questions, like watching me cry, like celebrating
Mm.
with me. I mean, like two
Aw,
clients the first month, eight new clients the second month. Everything kind of evened out. Some came in, some
look at
came
that.
out. I've got like my 10 soulmate clients that I called in. And and there would be points that my little son would like red on the chalkboard, like, I'm so proud of you for having eight clients, mom. And I'd be like, that's like God
Wow.
speaking to me through my son. Yeah, they're
Mm.
just my biggest cheerleaders. And my older one, like stopping to take a prayer, like make a prayer to God and saying the grace at dinner and just like watching what I've taught them, what they're watching me learn, and they just become the way they are too has been like one of the most beautiful gifts. And as just speaking from a single mom's viewpoint right now, since there isn't a man in our house, they've watched me grow up these last 6 years and we are so close. There's no barrier. Like they're literally watched every second of my journey, the pain, the beauty, the successes. Like they've watched it all. And like there'll be some points where they're like, yeah, we don't have money to go to dinner today. We just don't. Like, we need to go to the grocery store, you know? And then there's some points that's like,
Oh,
yeah, let's go to Target. What do you want to get? And they're like, we have money for that. I'm like, we do. And I'm like, I'm restarting. They're watching me grow and like be able to have an income for myself on my own. And it's teaching them so much. And
I,
it's, yeah, it's just been really beautiful how much it's strengthened our relationship.
that's amazing. And they're learning, I mean, it's immeasurable what they're learning through you at this time for the past 6 years and what they will continue to learn from you. And I think just bringing it back, it's also like, yeah, because you keep choosing yourself.
Yeah.
To choose oneself is to be in our highest alignment. It's like the most the clearest vessel we can have for everything to pass through us, that is light, right? And so if we continue to choose ourselves and our children are seeing that, then it's like, I mean, what better lesson than to see their mother in her full form?
It's
It's
so
remarkable.
beautiful. It is, and I'm like, yeah, they can watch this moment where, like, maybe I'm waiting on a couple Stripe payments to come through, right? And we don't have the money to go to dinner, and I'm like, but in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna be a millionaire. They're gonna get to experience the duality of watching my life grow into what it is. And to circle back to what we talked about in the beginning of this call and me not being with them Christmas morning, when I dropped them off yesterday at school or Wednesday morning at school, I said, are there any last wishes for Christmas? And thinking they might have an extra gift they want. And my little 8-year-old said that you have a beautiful Christmas, mom. And I just
Mm.
like melted. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing such a good job as a mom.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. And my older son said something beautiful as well. It had nothing to do with anything material. And I was just like, okay, I'm doing a great job. These kids are my confirmation.
I want to give you, like, I just want to like be in this, like, there's so much love within the three of you that I
There's
can
so
feel so
much
strongly.
love. And it wasn't always like that because I was in the struggling single mom story. It was a huge mindset block that I had to heal up that honestly took me many years to heal. And it was challenging. I would dread our time together before it started. It would be chaotic when we were together because I was running the story that it was hard, that I was alone, that I needed support. And one day it was like I woke up out of a fog and I saw exactly what I was doing. And I just shifted it in that second. I was like, I'm not struggling. I'm doing an amazing job. And everything with my kids changed. Like my son didn't need to sleep in my room anymore. He wasn't scared to go in his room. Now he sleeps with the door closed. Like we all cuddle. There's so much more love.
So
It's like
cute.
they're not fighting as much. And just like we're constantly creating our life with the stories that we tell ourselves. And I think that this is like, I know this is what you teach as well. And really, like, this is what we're doing here, right? Like, we are uncovering the stories of our mind that are creating our life. And they are so unconscious that we're constantly creating self sabotage, suffering. And then we play the victim to our own creation. And that is what I teach my clients to get out of because I keep shifting out of it myself. And it's like, we will continue to do that. So it's like, what story do we want to tell for our lives? And that's not any of the story that I want to be telling for my life at all.
Yeah, it's so, you speak with such conviction, and it's so easy. I can see why you help your clients greatly, because just when you're in your vibe of just like talking about your truth, it's like, yeah, like that, yeah, like that makes complete sense, and it's very empowering, and yeah, uplifting at the same time. So you're doing it. I already we've just met, but I know you're doing amazing work. I kind of have a spiritual question that I think maybe my audience would be interested in listening more to. So you said earlier that you know that this is your time to kind of like transform and alchemize and do all these changes at this time because you're an old soul.
Mhm.
And so me coming from the clinical world, I would say something similar to that, but I wouldn't use the same words, but it's the same meaning. But I would tell people, like, let's say medication, for example, for mental health illnesses. Not against it, in my when I used to be a more traditional psychotherapist, my MO, my goal was always like, hey, like, how do you feel about it? If you want to wean off, I would be more than happy to get you there, and then I also had to realize that like certain people in their lifetimes, it just wasn't going to be happening for them, and that's okay, right? Like releasing that need that everybody kind of had to be the same way. So I relate that kind of back to what you said about your soul's call, that you're an old soul, and that in
Mhm.
this lifetime is your lifetime to do the thing, right? And so I believe that for many different paths of healing, it's like also our energy too. It's like we're calling in people that are in some way, shape, or form reflections of us that we can help bring to the next level. So for someone listening, how would they be able to know, right? Like, is it my turn in this lifetime to do it? Or is this not feasible for me? And even saying that out loud, I'm already thinking of like, you do have a predestined path, but you can literally also change that, right? So
Yeah.
what's your intake on that?
I think my take on that is that the answer is inside of your heart, and that if the calling is there, then it is what your destiny is supposed to be. And then you can only heal at the rate that you can heal. And my rate just went extremely fast. Like from the moment that I took that leap of faith out of my marriage and I landed in my first ayahuasca, and then my plant medicine journey went deep, deep, deep. And like that was my bridge to where I'm at. Every teacher I had was like, I've never seen anyone move as fast as you. Like even Melissa's like, I've just never had a student move so fast before. Like
Mhm.
because I was ready, and it was like my work with the medicine, one of my medicines, that showed me like how many lifetimes I've been, my continuous pattern of struggle, and that like, and God's asking me now is the time. So it's like I can stay in my fears and I can stay small, but like I actually can't, because it will be so uncomfortable. It'll be more uncomfortable. And this goes back to the which route, fear or faith. It'll be more uncomfortable for me to stay small and not listen than it is for me to fully rise up. And like as a child, I loved to play teacher. And I'm really resonating with this recently, because I'm like, on my calls, I'm getting to teach more. My clients are going deeper. We're going deeper, and we're explaining concepts that they were not ready for 3 months ago when we started working together. And I'm like, I love to teach. And I think that's what I'm moving forward into this next season is as I keep alchemizing, like more and more opportunities are going to come for me to speak and to teach, because moving up the ladder. Like I'm ready for the next step. So I think for anybody who's kind of wondering, is it my time? It's your time if you're ready to take the leap. It's your time if you are willing to step forward into the unknown. And it's your time if it's in your heart. It's meant to be. And if you want to stay back in the fear, then maybe it is next lifetime for you. But it has to be a point inside where you're not willing to not listen anymore. And I think that's the time when it's your lifetime to do this deep
Mm.
work.
If you're willing to not listen anymore, I do love that. Okay, this has been a powerhouse of an episode. There has been like, it's just even the cadence is like, it's just like it's very much fire energy, which I'm loving. Um, Okay, so what has been, I mean, you kind of shared a lot with us earlier on in the episode, but if there's space for anything new, what's been a new challenge that you've been dealing with at this time that I can simply hold space for you, potentially guide, but more than anything, just coming back down to earth and, just being the humans that we are and continuously still doing the inner work.
Yeah. I was in Tulum 2 weeks ago for the mastermind retreat with our coach, and I got to see my patterns like explicitly clear and saw exactly the way my mind works. And even though I've been alchemizing my fear, I've been alchemizing my scarcity, I've been embodying my abundance, I've been working with two things. One is there was more lack thoughts going on in the background than I realized. And that's where I'm really at right now is like this constant pause, like, wait, there it was again. Because when it happens, it almost feels like a drop in my body. I can feel it physically. And I'm like, what did I just think? And it'll project not having something when I think about something. And I mean, the work is to not be thinking about anything, right? And be present. But so I'm still in this moment of like, okay, these thought forms, like they have to die. They cannot move forward because like I have big work to do. Of this like still fear that is lingering of like, can I support me and my kids? So that's one piece. And the second piece is me really like, I've always been really vulnerable. Like, I've always embraced depth and needed that in all my relationships. But like with me showing up on social media has been so challenging of like, how can I be a leader and a teacher? And also, how do I express how I'm healing in a way that's helpful for other people? So I've been kind of breaking down that barrier recently of that I can hold both, that I can be still healing this stuff and I can still teach. So those have been like these two gems that I'm really working with right now.
That is probably one of the most perfect examples of a self-share because they're two really important themes that continuously happen in entrepreneurship, right? So here you are doing really well for yourself and your business, like rocket shipping through all these milestones that we were just stating earlier, being shown time and time again that you can provide for your boys, yet the
Right.
question still arises.
Yeah.
It's the,
And you even
it's
reflected back to me like you're pure abundance. And I get that reflection all the time. And there's still a part of me inside that is fighting that. And
yeah.
yeah. And it's like, this is what my work is.
Yeah. It's I love the share because I think that people think that once you get to a certain level of anything, then that thing doesn't come up anymore. And it's like, no, it's still gonna come up. You're not it's not the same scarcity that was when you were with your ex-husband. It's not the same scarcity that was when you were in your second business. Like it continues to be the same lesson. It's just for a greater breakthrough. But I think
Mm,
people fail to recognize that it's a part of you. And I most definitely hear you washing it away. And I think that will happen for you. In my line of work, what I've seen is that it's a beautiful spirit almost that like it'll just come
mm,
back in a different form. And it's not like, damn, I didn't grow. It's like, no, girl, you've grown. But we're here to teach you another lesson, another way.
yeah. I love how you called it a beautiful spirit because that feels like let's invite her into the table, like let's love her up. And I think a lot of this is really just my inner child being scared. And I go in and comfort her a lot. And then I connect to my higher self. And like, man, her vibe is just like so strong in love. And I just try to hold that energy for myself and then also kind of hold my inner child. And yeah, that was a
Mhm.
beautiful reflection because when it comes up, instead of being like, "Oh, man, here I am again," like inviting that in and being like, "Yeah, I see you. I love you." And like that's not true anymore. And I've
That
got you.
energy. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
And your second example is also perfect because it's, the fear of, I guess, like being seen, but in your many facets. Like we're multidimensional beings. Like it's like this fear of like, can I really do it all? Can I really
Mm.
be this teacher and this healer and this thing? And it's like, of course, you already are. Of course, you already are. But it's. I think from the outside looking in, people would never think that individuals like you and I, individuals that are even, let's say, quote unquote, bigger, doing more, having more impact or more reach, let's just say, It's we're still human, and it's almost like the same struggles that maybe a beginner entrepreneur has or someone on the beginning of their healing journey has. It's like it's the same thing. Maybe the intensity feels different. Well, no, I will say that the intensity probably feels the same, but our knowledge, our wisdom, our internal wisdom is different at different stages. But feelings are feelings. I always say feelings are the universal language. It's like it still feels scary. It still feels really
Mhm.
intense. It still feels like we can't do, like, I can't be all those things. It's like, of course you can, but it doesn't matter what the logical mind can override. Our feelings take precedent always. Right.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that, like, we still go all, myself included, we still go through these things. I was just talking to another colleague of mine in a previous episode of like how I'm still like in this part of my business. I'm like, do y'all know what I do for a living? Like, do you really get it? Do you know what I do, how I help people? Because I feel like it's not clear, and I'm still working
Like,
on being more bold and more confident in my beingness. Like, that's still a thing that comes up for me,
yeah.
So thank you for that beautiful share, because it's such a good example of we're continuously doing the work, and those two particular adversities, it happens time and time again.
Yeah. Every time we up level, we're going to meet a new part of ourselves that um, we can allow to be seen a little bit deeper. And that's really where people can connect with us.
Yeah, yeah. This was such a beautiful episode, Sarah. Can you please let us know how we can connect with you and what are your offers at this time?
Yeah, thank you so much. I love this conversation. It was so powerful. I have a new 8-week group program coming out. It's called Return to the Altar of Your Heart. It's to stop looking
Mm,
outside of yourself for love, for God, for validation, for all of the things that happiness everyone's going outside to find, and to learn who you really are underneath all your programs, all your patterns, all your fears. And you're an expression of God. And what does that mean? And it's an 8-week beautiful journey through teaching women how to be more confident and love themselves and discover their patterns, learn what abundance is. A couple guest coaches are coming in, and I'm super excited about that. That's going to start in February. You can find me on Instagram at I am Sarah Knapik, and that sarahknapik.com/return for the 8-week group program.
beautiful. All of our links will be in the show notes. So if you want to check her out, you can definitely go ahead and do that. Once again, Sarah, thank you so, so much. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I know that our listeners will as well.
Me too. Thanks, Julissa.
Thank you for tuning into Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive future episodes packed with valuable insights. Remember to follow us on social media at thehealthy.highperformer for more inspiration, tips, and updates. If you found this episode helpful, we'd appreciate it if you could share it with your network and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us as we continue to empower high performers like you. Until next time, keep mastering your mindset and thriving as a healthy high performer.